You know you don't mean that. We both like this one.
Are you going to let me out of here, or do I have to call the police?
Hey, what's up everybody? Joshua Casper back at you with Plugin Boutique, and today we're checking out the Doepfer A-188-1 BBD module for Softube's Modular system. I'm using it inside of the modular effects, which just means I can use it on any channel inside of my project without having to generate noise from any particular oscillator or synthesizer inside of the modular system. I'm just going to run the effects on this. I've got some movie dialogue on the channel, and I want to show you how great this delay sounds on that, because I think it showcases it really well. Maybe later on in the video I'll drop a drum loop on there or something too, so you can hear it on that as well. But let's just check this thing out. I'm going to go ahead and double click to add it to the system. And the first thing I need to do is set my inputs and outputs. Very simple. Take the L or left input from the inputs and drag it into the audio in. And then from the mix out, go to the L on the out. We're going to get some noise here. That has to do with the clock bleed that was emulated from the actual hardware units. You always get that when you're dealing with hardware stuff. You can sometimes gate it or filter it to reduce it. But what's cool using the digital version is I can go ahead and just completely shut it off by clicking and dragging to the off right there on that clock bleed. So boom, now it's nice and quiet. And we've got some really nice BBD delay. So BBD stands for Bucket Brigade Delay. And how this delay works is there's a series of capacitors that the signal goes through, and each time it jumps from one capacitor to the next, the signal can be delayed. There were 5 different A-188-1 BBDs, and they had a different amount of capacitors inside of them. So some of the smaller ones were 128 capacitors, then you had 256, 512, 1024, 2048, and up to 4096. So that's quite a long line of capacitors. That's actually going to be a pretty big unit. But what's really cool, inside of this digital version, we've got all 5 wrapped up in one, and we can easily switch between them just by clicking up here at the top. Awesome. So let's just go ahead and hear how this thing sounds. I got the mix knob down here. I'm going to go ahead and turn it all the way off just so we can hear the original vocal.
You know you don't mean that. We both like this one.
I'm going to go ahead and turn it up.
You know you don't mean that. We both like this one.
So that's what it sounds like. Let's go ahead and turn on the BBD.
You know you don't mean that. We both like this one.
Sounds so good. It sounds so good. It just gives me chills. So I'm going to go ahead and play with the delay clock here.
You know you don't mean that. We both like this one.
Are you going to let me out of here, or do I have to call the police?
Delicate mouth. You know you don't mean that. We both like this one.
So what's really cool about this is that while it's a delay, you actually get bit crushing at really small, values here on the delay clock, and phasing and flanging up here at the top. So really it's like 3 or 4 different effects wrapped up in one, and it's just happened to be called a delay. So, here's flanging and phasing.
You know you don't mean that. We both like this one.
Are you going to let me out of here, or do I have to call the police?
It's much more apparent as you move this, and we're going to add an LFO over here in a second just so you can hear that. But, as you're moving it up and down these values, you can hear the flanging going on.
You know you don't mean that. We both like this one.
Are you going to let me out of here, or do I have to call the police?
He was impressed by the loveliness of her hair. Delicate mouth.
So each one of these has a different range of possibilities. So the 4096 up here, it's going to be a lot more bigger range of different types of effects we get, while the 128 is going to be like super, we're going to get a lot more bit crushing going on in the higher values over here.
You know you don't mean that. We both like this.
Are you going to let me out of here, or do I have to call the police?
He was impressed by the loveliness of her hair. Her soft, blue eyes. Delicate mouth. You know you don't mean that. We both like this one.
Are you going to let me out of here, or do I have to call the police?
He was impressed by the loveliness of her hair.
Okay, so let's go ahead and add an LFO here just so I don't have to keep tweaking that. I'm going to come over to add, and we're just going to use the LFO from Doepfer as well. So where is it? VC LFO. And all I need to do here is just take like the sine wave here and drop it in this CV2.
You don't mean that. We both like this one.
Are you?
And now I can control the frequency of the LFO. You'll see that the lights are flashing quicker or slower.
You know you don't mean that. We both like this one.
Are you going to let me out of here, or do I have to call the police?
He was impressed by the loveliness of her hair. Her soft blue eyes. Her delicate mouth.
So there's the flanging we're talking about. So the way this works is this is how quickly the LFO happens. This is how deep the LFO will go. If you're down here, it's going to go more shallow, while up at 10 is going to be a really deep wave. You know, we're on the sine wave down here. And this is the position. So if I'm on a short wave and I put the position here at the top, we're going to get that flanging.
Now, you know you don't mean that. We both like this one.
Are you going to let me out of here, or do I have to call the police?
Or if I bring it down here, we're going to get that bit crushing.
Both like this one. Are you going to let me out of here, or do I have to call the police?
And let's put it up here at 4096.
I don't mean that. We both like this.
Are you going
Her hair, so blue. Now, you know we both.
Are you going or do I have to call the police?
Loveliness of her hair. Blue eyes.
So it's a very, very cool effect. We can take it and, you know, instead of coming from the sine wave, we can go from the square wave.
Now, you know you don't mean that. We both like one.
Are you going to let me out of here, or do I have to call the
So you can really get some cool effects. Now, this is the LFO, but we can also just put in a random noise generator too if we wanted to. I can come over here and let's find it, noise. And we do the same thing. So output random instead of the LFO, let's put output random.
Now, you know you don't mean that. We both like this one.
Are you going to let me out of here, or do I have to call the police?
He was impressed by the loveliness of her hair, her soft blue eyes, her delicate mouth. Now, you know you don't mean that. We both like this one.
Are you going to let me out of here, or do I have to call the police?
He was impressed by the loveliness of her hair, her soft blue eyes, her delicate mouth. Now, you know you don't mean that. We both like this one.
Are you going to let me out of here, or do I have to call the police?
He was impressed by the loveliness of her hair, her soft blue eyes, her delicate mouth. Now, you know you don't mean that. We both like this one.
Are you going to let me out of here, or do I have to call the police?
He was impressed by the loveliness of her hair.
So you get just really cool effects, and we're only scratching the surface of what's possible, but I just wanted to use it on that vocal because I think it gives you a better sense of what is actually capable of delay. But obviously, if you put it on some synths or some drums or anything else, really, you're going to get some really great effects. And the thing I like about it is just how natural it sounds and how smooth it sounds when the transitions are happening. Just phenomenal. A really great device. It's available right now. It just came out the tail end of last week. I highly suggest checking it out. You can get a 20-day trial with the links in the video description. Go check it out. I'm Joshua Casper here for Plug-in Boutique. This has been the A-188-1 BBD module by Doepfer Audio for the modular system by Softube. I hope to see you in the next video.